Okay, good morning students. Today we will be having a look at the respiratory system, the lungs, lower respiratory tract. Okay, so we can see that the lungs, you can see that the lungs is in the thoracic cavity. Okay, and so we need to remove the thoracic wall to gain access to the lungs. So I'll remove the sternum, the ribs and the costal cartilages. So that now you can see the lungs. Okay, you can see the lungs, and the lungs are in the right pulmonary cavity or right pleural cavity, and left pulmonary cavity, left pleural cavity. And in the middle here you can see there's the mediastinum and the vital structures in the mediastinum. So let's focus on the lung. Let's have a look at this lung first. Okay, I'll remove this. So you can see that this lung, okay, this lung, it has two lobes. Okay, you can see it has two lobes. Okay, this is superior lobe and this is inferior lobe, and you can see it has one fissure here, and this is the oblique fissure. Okay. And this lung, you can see that it has a, here, can you see this? Here you can you see that? Okay, this is an indentation at the anterior border of the lung, and this indentation is the cardiac notch, and you can see that the cardiac notch is in the superior lobe. Okay, the cardiac notch is in the superior lobe of this lung. And can you see this? Okay, this is a lingula. This is lingula projection inferior to the cardiac notch. So here in this model, you can see that the lingula is in the superior lobe of the lung as well. So this lung, it has cardiac notch, it has lingula, it has two lobes, superior lobe, inferior lobe, and it has one fissure, oblique fissure. So this is the left lung. Okay, so let's have a look at the borders of the lung. And lung has three borders. Okay, firstly, this is the anterior border. This is the anterior border, and you can see that the anterior border, it is sharp. The anterior border, it is sharp. Okay, located anteriorly, and it is sharp. Okay, now let's have a look at the inferior border. Lies inferiorly. This is the inferior border, and you can see that it is also sharp. It is also sharp. The inferior border. Okay, inferior border. Okay, now let's have a look. Posteriorly, you'll find, okay, this border here. Okay, this border here, posteriorly, it is curved, thick, rounded. So this is the posterior border. Okay, posterior border. Okay, now let's have a look at the surfaces of the lung. So now we know that this is the anterior border. So this is anterior. Over here it is posterior, lateral, medial. Okay. So let's have a look at the surfaces of the lung. Lung has three surfaces. Okay. Here anterior, lateral, and posterior. Here it is the costal surface. Costal surface of the lung. Costal surface. Now inferiorly, you'll see here is the diaphragmatic surface of the lung. Diaphragmatic surface of the lung. And you can see diaphragmatic surface of the lung. It is bounded by the inferior border of the lung. And it's called diaphragmatic surface of the lung because it lies on the diaphragm. Okay, it lies on the diaphragm. And lastly, the third surface on the lung is the medial surface. The medial surface here is called the mediastinal surface. Okay, mediastinal surface. Okay. So now let's have a look at several features on the mediastinal surface of the lung. Firstly, let's have a look at the hilum of lung. Let's have a look at the hilum of lung. So this is hilum of left lung, and you can see structures enter or leave the lung at the hilum of lung, and these structures are called a root of lung. Okay, now let's have a look at the arrangement of the structures of root of left lung. Okay, can you see this structure here? It is the superior most structure in the hilum of left lung, and this is the pulmonary artery. Okay, and this structure here, most inferior, and here anterior. It's located inferior and anterior in the hilum. This is pulmonary vein. Okay, and here you can see located posteriorly and centrally. This is the bronchus. Okay, left bronchus, left pulmonary artery, left pulmonary veins. Okay, so these are the structures of root of left lung. Okay, structures of root of left lung. Okay, now let's have a look at the grooves, okay, and impressions that you can see on the mediastinal surface of the left lung. Okay, firstly, let's have a look at the, okay, let's orientate ourselves first. Here you can see here, the border here is sharp, so this is anterior border, it has cardiac notch, and so this is the anterior border, and this border, it is rounded and curved, and this is posterior border. So we know that over here is anterior and over here is posterior. So let's have a look, let's concentrate at the hilum, and there's a groove superior to the hilum. There's a groove superior to the hilum, okay, and that groove is formed by the arch of aorta, and there's a groove posterior to the hilum, and that groove is formed by thoracic aorta. Okay, and there's a groove here. You can see groove from hilum, it ascends superiorly, and that groove is formed by the left subclavian artery. Okay, left subclavian artery. Okay, so that's the grooves. And okay, another one is impression here. A cardiac impression here is formed by the heart. Okay, formed by the heart. Okay, now let's have a look at these structures that forms the grooves on the mediastinal surface of left lung. Okay, these structures you'll find it in the mediastinum. Yeah, mediastinum. Let's have a look at the left side of the mediastinum, and also you'll find it at the root of neck. Okay, so structures that form the grooves on the mediastinal surface of left lung. Here you can see on the mediastinum, the left side of the mediastinum here, you can see here, okay, arch of aorta. Okay, you can see arch of aorta here, and you can see there's the thoracic aorta. Okay, and artery here, left subclavian artery. Okay, left subclavian artery here is in the root of neck. Here, arch of aorta, thoracic aorta in the mediastinum. They form the grooves that you can see on the mediastinal surface of the left lung. Okay. Okay, now let's have a look at the other lung. Okay, let's have a look at this lung here. Okay, let's have a look at this lung, and you can see that this lung has 1, 2, and 3 lobes. It has 3 lobes. Okay, superior lobe, middle lobe, inferior lobe, and it has 2 fissures. Okay, here's one fissure. This is oblique fissure. Second fissure is this fissure, horizontal fissure. Okay. Okay, so it has 3 lobes and 2 fissures. So this is the right lung. Okay, and right lung also has 3 borders. So you can see here, this border lies anteriorly, and you can see that it is sharp. You can see it is sharp. So this is anterior border. You can see that it is sharp. Okay, and then inferiorly you'll find the inferior border. Inferior border also it is sharp. Inferior border also it is sharp. Okay. inferior border. And lastly, located posteriorly here, you see the posterior border. You can see that it's curved, rounded, curved and rounded and thick. So that's the posterior border, located posteriorly. Okay, now let's have a look at the surfaces of the right lung. Here also has 3 surfaces. Okay, so let's orientate ourselves. This is anterior border. You can see sharp. It's sharp. So this is anterior, and over back here is posterior. Okay, and the surfaces of the lung. Okay, here you can see the anterior, lateral and posterior surface of the lung is the costal surface of the lung. Okay, costal surface of the lung. Okay, and inferiorly here you'll find the diaphragmatic surface of the lung, and it is bounded by the inferior border of the lung. Okay, and lastly, okay, medial surface of the lung, which is the mediastinal surface of the lung. Okay. Okay, let's focus on the mediastinal surface of the lung, okay, of the right lung. Mediastinal surface of the right lung. Here we can see there's the hilum here. There's the hilum, and we can see the structures of root of the right lung in the hilum, okay. And the structures are, firstly you can see here, the superior most structure here is a bronchus, okay. Superior most structure here is the bronchus, okay, and most inferior structure and anterior here, inferior and anterior structure here is the right pulmonary veins, okay, right pulmonary veins, and in between the right pulmonary veins and the right bronchus here you'll find the pulmonary artery, okay, right pulmonary artery, okay. Okay, now let's have a look at the grooves that you'll find on the mediastinal surface of the right lung, okay. Okay, there's a groove anterior to the hilum of the right lung, not really prominent in this model. It's formed by the superior vena cava, and there's a groove superior to the hilum of right lung, and that is formed by the arch of azygos vein. And there's a groove that ascends superiorly, and from the hilum it ascends superiorly, and this groove is formed by the right brachiocephalic vein. And there's a groove that is posterior to the hilum of right lung here, and that groove is formed by the esophagus, okay. And here you can see a quite large impression. This is cardiac impression formed by the heart, okay. So now let's have a look at the structures that have formed these grooves and impression, and the structures are in the mediastinum. So let's have a look at the mediastinum on the right side here, okay, mediastinum and root of neck on the right side, okay. Okay, so this is mediastinum on the right side here. You can see these are the structures that form the root of right lung. Here you can see pulmonary veins, superior and inferior pulmonary veins, right pulmonary veins, okay, right pulmonary artery, and the right bronchus here. So these structures form the root of right lung. And now let's have a look at the structures that have formed the grooves on the mediastinal surface of the right lung. Here you can see, okay, anterior to the root of right lung, that's the superior vena cava. Superior to the root of right lung, here you can see arch of azygos vein, and posterior to the root of right lung, here you can see is the esophagus, okay. And here this vein ascend superiorly from the root of right lung. It ascends superiorly and superior to the neck, to the root of neck, and this is the right brachiocephalic vein, right brachiocephalic vein. And lastly, here's the heart. Okay, that's all students for lungs. Okay, thank you.